What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the I'm Not Lucky, I'm Blessed podcast, a show where we celebrate young entrepreneurs and their achievements, and then we inspire up and coming entrepreneurs on how to make profit using their passion. And as usual, I'm your host, Lucky the Most. Enjoy the show. Hey, guys, episode 109.
Ooh.
As usual. Yeah, thank you.
That's amazing.
It's been a long time coming, Remember when it was just 2 episodes, but now we got like 100 and something. Yes. So, guys, as usual, I have a special guest in the building today. Amazing friend of mine. I met this young lady back in, I think, 2019.
I think so.
Yep.
It was definitely just before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic,
Yep.
yeah, at Mike's Fitness.
Yes.
And a friend of mine introduced me to her because he just felt like we just need to be connect. You understand, right? Because we had the same, not the same, but like exercising wise, we kind of like had the same.
I think the drive too.
Yeah.
We kind of go to the next level.
Next
It
level,
wasn't
yeah.
Just regular stuff. And I noticed that from you immediately when I was at the gym.
Yes.
I was like, who's this beast? He's always in beast mode. It was amazing.
I know, but you two, you're always in beast mode. So that's what T saw and was like, Lucky, I want you to meet this, this person here, and he introduced us. And I remember we did 2 videos that very day.
Yeah.
2 ab workout video, and ever since we've just been, in touch, and it's been a long time coming. You've had amazing projects, you're working on the movie. You even gave me a chance to be a model once, remember, in where was that? In Rhode Island, but the clothes were in my size.
Yes, it was with REI.
Yes.
Yeah, I might still hit you up at some point. Like there's always some interesting thing happening. But yeah, it was with REI. That was a fun project.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I missed it, but whenever you have another chance, just let me know.
Definitely.
So guys, our guest today is, I don't know where to start from. She's everything. She does everything. She does it all. She's into cinematography, photography, bodybuilding. She's an athlete. She's a film producer, an actor, a dancer. She's into martial arts, loves skateboarding, rock climbing, surfing,
too much, just
volleyballing.
Too much.
The
list goes on.
I can go. Like the more I speak, the more I'm just looking at your Instagram page. Like I'm looking at your Instagram profile right now, and I'm just calling everything.
What is going on?
Everything I see, but it's really amazing. How you do all of this. What's the secret, Ali?
What is the secret? Oof. Maybe I'm still figuring out the secret. I've always had a huge interest in many things, and there's so much I want to do in life. Like, if I could have an extra 48 hours in a day, I could do so much with it. I have an appetite for so many different things. There's so much to learn in life and from people.
Yeah.
And the connections that come through that is and the inspiration that I get from others. Like, I live for that, and the creativity. So yeah, I mean, I've had I've had a pretty, I guess, non-traditional path that growing up, and I grew up exploring in the arts a lot, and that really pushed me to try just different creative endeavors, and it kind of, I'm in this interesting phase now where I have a little bit of my hands in video and photography, but also in sports, and some of my projects kind of changed. Well, I can get into that later, but there's just so much. But
so much, yeah.
There's a lot.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with us. Real quick, can you introduce yourself to the listeners? Who's Ali?
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. So my name is Alexandria Pierre-Etienne. It's a
never knew that,
long French name.
Beautiful name.
Thank you.
I discovered that was your name a few weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I was calling you Ali.
Well, yes, that's still my name too. And it's the short version.
Guys, I'm sorry. Before introduction,
good.
I just want to put this out there. 2 weeks ago, you did a post. You posted something about, like, they had you on a newspaper or something, on an article.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went to read it, and I was seeing this Alexandria French name. I was like, Really? That's that. At first I was confused. I was like, what am I reading? Like, who is this person? And then the more I kept reading, I was like, this is Ali they're talking about. Like, I had no clue that was you.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, I guess mostly just family would call me by my full name.
Yeah.
But everyone that knows me go by Ali. So
I don't want to call you Ali anymore.
That's all right.
I want to call your full name.
Go for it. Yeah. So and I'm originally from Montreal, born and raised. And I've had, most of my life I grew up there, and I moved to Boston to go to college. I went to a music school at Berklee College of Music, and I ended up staying here and kind of grew my career from there. That's the very short version.
Yeah.
Along the way, I've been exposed to the arts like very early on. I've had, I guess, compared to like my other peers in school, I've always struggled in school, and I was diagnosed with ADHD, and
really?
So my education was very rough. Like if it wasn't for the arts, I don't think I would have gone through it, or I think I would have let go or given up very easily. So that helped me through many different phases in my life.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to explore in dance, in music. Film photography kind of came later on, I would say, in college. So when I was younger, I had so much energy, Lucky. Like, I'm sorry.
You still have energy.
ADHD. It was hyperactive. That's what the H stands for. I was bouncing off the walls. It's like teachers... And I don't blame them.
Yeah.
I would have struggled as a teacher, too, if I had a student like that. And, in the education system, there's a very fixed way of learning,
yep.
Or an expectation of like there's only this one type of intelligence that they expect from you.
Yep.
And that wasn't the case for me. I just, my brain was just different.
Unique.
Yeah. So music, dance, I played piano. I studied classical piano when I was younger. The joke was always, I have an older brother, so when my mother was pregnant with me, my brother was taking like violin lessons, and he hated it. He didn't like it, but my mom would try to get him to practice, go to lessons, and the joke was that when I was in the womb, I was listening to it. So when I came out, I was ready to play.
Go. You were ready to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was my discovery with music. There was like a keyboard, like a little toy in the house that belonged to my brother, and I picked it up. And there's always these demo songs on the keyboard. You had like For Elise, Old Lang Syne, Silent Night, just like some classics. Yeah. And I would listen to it not knowing what the notes are. Like I was probably 5, and I'd play it back like exactly. Ooh. And it was so precise that my parents picked up on it. They're like, wait, there's something here. Maybe we should get you some lessons, like just see where that goes. Yeah. And there were many things like in school I wasn't interested in or would take my attention, but music brought me in like so strongly. I wanted to learn more. So I started with classical music. But even that was kind of tough because classical music is very strict. There's a lot of music reading. So I was still like struggling with, learning theory aspect. It was very much, I was heavily like, I play by ear. I was in perfect pitch, but I can play a song back. Like give me a few minutes and and I love that. So eventually I got to study with a piano teacher that he didn't just go with a traditional way of teaching. He saw that I had an interest of creating stories through music, composing, and just seeing where that goes. And he really appreciated that, and he pushed me to explore more. And he kind of had these different techniques and approaches for me to think differently with like, well, how would you want this note? Like if you want this note to make someone feel a certain way, how would you go about it? How would you approach it? Without like throwing like music theory in my face all the time, because that kind of takes away
your creativity.
And not to say that it's not important. Music theory is very important, and I discovered that later on. But I was just very much in the like, let's just throw color on the canvas. And So earlier on, I realized I really enjoyed composing, and I wanted to do more of that and just tell stories through music with different instruments and adding in different colors. So where do I go from there? Later on in 5th grade, I picked up the alto saxophone. There was a band opening up in school, and they needed students to sign up.
Yeah.
The caveat was that you needed to already know how to play an instrument. I never picked up a sax before, but I was like, I can figure this out. Like, I didn't take any lessons. I just signed up, and they told me, like, do you play sax? And I said, yeah, I do.
Fake it till you make it, you know?
Something like that. And I figured, well, I have a little bit of this, music theory and piano experience and reading, so let me just play, like, experiment with the sax, and go to a music store, buy a book with the basics for fingerings on the saxophone instrument, and it sounded terrible. Like, my parents were definitely struggling through, like, if any parent out there you guys know when you have a kid that's learning, like, a reed instrument especially, it's the piece of wood that goes on the mouthpiece, and you have to blow, like, a specific pitch. And it sounds like dying ducks for the first couple months. It's tough.
For like a whole month, no progress.
Yeah. Well, it's weird because you got to get the technique of the position of your mouth, like the embouchure.
Yeah. And you were self-taught too.
Yeah. So piano not so as much. I had a little bit more of a background with, like, taking lessons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was self-taught on the saxophone, and an autodidact. Sorry, is what it's called when people, like, teach themselves or are able to progress in learning a skill on their own. And I did that a lot, like, throughout my teenage years into college. And eventually, I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go with the music story, but
you can take your time, just
sure,
because I want to see how you transition to different things.
Sure.
That's the thing that's going on through my mind. Like, how did you at what time in your life did you have time for this? Did you have time for this? Did you have time
Great
for that?
question.
Yeah.
I just don't sleep.
You said you need extra 48 hours, right?
And a lot of creatives, like, we sleep very late because a lot of times, I don't know why, but the brain activity, it just ignites at nighttime, and there's a lot. I get a lot done later in the evening. Let's just say so. But yeah, I eventually. Through church, that's where I grew, like, as a musician a lot. My mom and I, she was in the choir. The new church we went to was very different from any churches we went. This was in Montreal, like downtown. The church was called Evangel. It's still there. It's an amazing church. But they had a 60-piece choir, and they had an orchestra. And it was all volunteer based. Like, we put on huge productions for, like, Christmas, Easter. I'm talking about, like, a 60-foot Christmas tree. Yeah. Like, think of it like bleachers, but in the shape of a Christmas tree. And the 60-piece choir would be there standing throughout the whole show. And we would have the orchestra section, and we put on this whole production. Yeah. And same thing for Easter. We had, like, a cross that people would stand in. It was great. So I learned through that. I learned how to play with other musicians. I mean, even at school when we were in the bands, that was a start of it, but I really learned how to just play, like, orchestral music and the different parts and the relationship between, saxophone 1 and flute 2, and listening to the director and how everything combines together. And it just made me love music and just how everything comes together, because there's so many layers to it, from directing an orchestra, from composing it, and how everyone's reading the music, and then the emotions that come out of it, and how you connect with people. And so that was big for me. And later on in the years, I'm, like, approaching maybe finishing high school, going into college. I played in a couple bands in Montreal, and we gigged a lot. So I kind of learned a little more of just the music business side of it and gigging,
Yeah.
and playing at venues.
How old were you then, if you don't mind?
I think but this was probably between 17 and 22.
Oh.
But and then early high school was mostly like in a church, and playing at other churches too. So I got exposed more to like just different styles of music, and especially when I picked up the sax, I started diving more into jazz and neo soul and funk. So a little more different from what I was used to on piano, and playing by myself, or like playing just at a concert, like a recital. So yeah, it was very interesting. I don't know what else to add to that.
I have honestly, you did an amazing job, like trying to wrap this whole thing up in a few words. Like, this is a huge part of your life, and I had no clue that you had a musical background like this. Like, you sound, when you have this conversation, you sound very deep. Like, I still see that passion in you. Like, when you talk about music, I know a little bit about music. I can rap, but that's all I can do. You get it, right? But like, you went through a process of learning different instruments, and this was where there was no YouTube that you can go out to learn how to place your mouth in the sax, like you talked about. Like, if there was YouTube, it would have been a lot easier. But like, you taught yourself all that to the point where you became part of a band, and you guys were going for gigs from like 17 to 20 something. That's really amazing.
Yeah, I'm so grateful, and honestly, like, I'm very grateful. My parents too had pushed and encouraged me. My family, I would say, like, they've always encouraged me to keep pushing in music. They, they're incredible. I think it's it's not typical, especially in, like, my family's Haitian, so, and I'm sure you can relate to this. Like, a lot of parents will push for like you have to be a doctor, be a nurse,
be a pilot,
Those are like something in the sciences or in the STEM. And they knew that I had these raw talents, and they wanted to help push it as far as I wanted to go, and they believed in me, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't
for them,
for that strong support. And there were some teachers, even though like school was very tough, but there were a few teachers, mentors there too that helped push me and not give up on it when I didn't see it myself, but they did, and it goes a long way. So I'm just very grateful that I've had that, those
people around you.
Yeah.
What's interesting is, like, when you were a child, you said you had ADHD. Like, the world we live in now, I feel like kids like that are being put in a different side of life. They don't get this. They don't really, like, I feel like to a lot of people it's a disadvantage, but like there's something good that can come out of that. Like, look at you. Like, you use that energy and you put it in the right places, and you've succeeded. You understand, right? Something that the world will say, oh, it's a sickness, but like, you are like, that's your drive. You understand, right?
Yes.
You're naturally just going.
Yes.
What have you in person, like, first is like, as a child, how did you feel being quote unquote called a child with ADHD, and what did you learn from it? And if you're a parent, and you see a child going through that, like, what would you do differently?
Yeah, those are great questions. I definitely felt defeated, or like a defect, like I was this flaw, and misunderstood.
Yeah.
And that was rough. And because of all of that energy too, I had so much energy that it affected with like behavioral issues. Like, I can't sit down for long. I have to move around. So, and I was a prankster, so that didn't help. So mixed it with, I was a little rebel, but it definitely made things like I would be dismissed a lot easily. Like, if I didn't understand something and I need to go through it again, there's just no time. The teacher has to take care of all the other students. It's tough, and when I got older, I definitely I feel for teachers. It's rough because there's pressure on them too. Like they have to also fit in a box and force their students to fit in a certain box, and they don't have the proper resources to get through each student with the time that they need. But I'm grateful. I found a way to just channel all of the energy that I have in all these different elements, and I don't feel like at this point now, I don't have to like self-medicate to be able to concentrate. It took time, but I had to get used to channeling those energies in the right way and try to stay focused on them. And I think to your last question, like, what would I do differently? I mean, I wouldn't do anything differently than my parents did the best they could. And I think back then it was like, I think now we're a little better with how we approach kids and young students that, have different ways of absorbing information and going through the education system. I think we're a lot more accepting with different approaches versus before. But I definitely would, when I have kids, like, I definitely want to encourage to keep exploring and not punish per se. Like, if there's something they want to explore, like,
go for it.
Encourage. And I don't know. I think in general, it's very important to just to continue the creative side growing up. Like, art and music is so important, even though if it's not something you want to do in your career later. To exercise that part of your mind, I think is just as important as anything else, because it can help unlock things emotionally that you might not understand, or just doing some problem solvings. Like, you need that creative side of your mind to be able to think a little bit outside the box. And I remember hearing from I think it was I don't know if it was a CEO of Pfizer. This was many years ago, but someone in a position of a CEO was talking on their speech about, like, they have ADD, and growing up they had a hard time, and people were so amazed to hear that. Like, wow, you of all people, like, you seem so organized and whatnot. And it's possible. Like, so I don't see it as a crutch. I don't. There's definitely I don't know how to put it, but I don't see it as a crutch. I think it just helps to fuel, like, there's just different sides to explore, if that makes sense. And I think it helps with creativity for me in many ways.
100%. Like, not just you. There's so many people that went through the same thing, and it's all about just being aware of it and knowing how to, like we talked about, channel the energy. It's really not a disadvantage. Matter of fact, I think it's a plus. You understand, right? Like, you can move faster. Like, you have so much energy. Like, what the fuck?
Right. You can get so much done.
Why the fuck should that be a problem in a world like this? You understand, right?
Multitasking.
And you're nailing every one of them. You get it? Like, look at your life. It's amazing, man. And, like, everything you do, and
thank you.
You're still out here, like, moving like it's nothing. You understand, right? I bet you after this you have a bunch of things lined up to crush. So I honestly think it's a plus, and we just need, as families and parents, to learn how to, like, channel that energy into various things, not just one. Various things. You go do so many things, just keep you busy, like you talked about.
And I think, for an example, like, taking breaks is important. If you notice that a kid is, like, having a hard time staying on track, or concentrating on something. Sometimes in school, like, we force, like, very long periods of studying or absorbing something, and I found it helps for me, like, take 10-minute break, like, maybe at every 40 minutes if I have to study for something, or step away and come back a little bit more refreshed, fresh pair of eyes. So in my work now, I always try to remind myself to do that, because if not, I'll try to get in the zone. And I think it helps. So yeah, so that's, I guess, a little bit about like the music story, backstory.
Okay.
What
So
else you want to know?
how did you channel from music? After music, what was next? After music, what did you go into next?
Sure. Well, I guess simultaneously in parallel. So well, let me step back in Montreal, because I wasn't in Boston yet. I went to a community college right after high school in Montreal, and they had a good music program. So I decided to, like, that was when I knew, like, I definitely want to pursue music, take it more seriously. I'm gigging, I'm playing the saxophone, I'm composing, but I want to learn more music theory. I want to better understand, I guess, some of my weaknesses in music, and how can I turn that to an advantage and just strengthen, I guess, myself as a musician, and use the tools that I can to get to the next step that I want. And so I went to Vanier College, and they had a good program where a lot of the students would eventually go to McGill University.
Oh, okay.
And they have a good like jazz program, and so that was like the next step. But eventually I heard about Berklee College of Music, and when I spoke to other musicians back home, they were like, you should check out Berklee College of Music. And at the time I never heard about the school, but they're like, yeah, it's right up your alley. Like, I wanted to compose, and so I looked into it and I signed up, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get in. No way. But let's just try. Why not? Why is that?
Yeah.
Well, it's just a prestigious school with virtuoso musicians. Like, we're talking kids that like started playing jazz like since they were born. And it's incredible.
Self-taught like you. These are kids that had coaches, tutors to it. Yeah.
No, exactly. You're right there. I felt like I was just, maybe I wouldn't fit in that environment, and self-taught. Like, there's still a lot of there's pros and cons with self-taught. I encourage anyone to try to explore things on their own. But of course, having proper education and like coaching, whatever form of that teaching that you get is important, because you can form bad habits, or there's just certain things you're not going to know. So there were some things I had to correct and fix my mistakes. Like, when I studied under my sax professor, like, he's like, yeah, you've been doing that for too long. We gotta tweak that a little bit. And it's true. But I felt like I wouldn't get it. But I told myself, what do you have to lose? So I applied. I auditioned. It was like a whole rigorous process, and I got a scholarship. And I was like, I guess this is it.
It's happening.
It's now or never. So from there, well, in the meantime, so I used to draw. This is my segue to photography. I used to draw.
You draw too?
Yeah, I was decent. Like, I loved more like the cartoon style. So I thought maybe I'll be a cartoonist someday.
Yep.
And even in school, like, the students would ask me to draw, like, just as a joke, like, make fun of the teachers, build like caricatures. Come on, we all did stuff like that. But that was, I used to draw like comic books, like comic strips, and just build stories. And even if we go way back, like, I used to play with Barbies or Hot Wheels, whatever type of toys I had, I would take a camera and film it and create a whole story, and then I would add music to it, like whatever I made on piano, I would try to piece it together. So there was always like this interest of like some visual elements. I don't draw anymore, but I felt like that kind of transitioned to photography for me. My dad had a camera laying around in the house that wasn't really being used, and I just picked it up and started playing around with it, and I loved it. I never left the house without my camera. And that's how I kind of got into like street photography and or just like nature photography as well. Like whatever, I would shoot anything and just explore and see what I liked. So that kind of took an interesting turn because sorry, you're gonna say something.
I'm just, you said took an interesting turn, so I'm just
that kind of put me like, I was pretty bold. I would go up to people and I was like, can I shoot? Can I just take a quick snapshot? And they're like, yeah, sure, okay. Like, this is kind of random, but they'd have fun with it. So I'm in like downtown streets of Montreal, and I'd ask people like, hey, let me take like a quick portrait and just practice portraiture. And eventually, I don't know how, I love, like, remember, I'm the one bouncing off the walls. I have like this interest with like sports and whatnot. So I love climbing things, and I would climb up like in the alleyways. I'd find an escape ladder and get to the rooftop, and there's a whole other world to explore. I don't know if you've done rooftop hop. It's so much fun. But I met I remember there was these group of guys. I forget if they went to the same school as me, but I saw them downtown. They were all like fresh from head to toe. They had like the 80s fade, fresh kicks. They were all like stylish. And I was like, guys, do you like rooftop hopping? They're like, what? I was like, I'm taking some portraits. What do you think if we take like some just unique shots? Like, let's go to some of the rooftops. And they were down. So we found an alleyway. I found like an escape ladder. And they're like, this is crazy. Like, we can get in trouble for this. But I was like, this is a journey. Let's see where it goes. And so I kind of, portraits for me kind of started like that, where I would take people to different scenes. Different scenes. It was kind of an urban exploration. Sometimes we're in an abandoned place or, just somewhere unexpected. But it was kind of part of the journey with the photo session. It wasn't just like, okay, we stay in this one spot and
just take one trip.
It was like, let's see where it takes us.
You were still creating a story, basically the same energy.
You could say that.
You had in your music. You still brought that same energy to the
I loved it because I got to know them. Because it wasn't just like, you can't force a moment in front of the camera. You have to let things happen, but it's also, there's a lot that goes on, but as a photographer, you have to make the person feel comfortable and get to know them, and you're trying to capture their raw essence candidly. Well, depending on what style, like, you can stage things, but I really loved just going, just go with the flow and capture some of those moments. And I always got feedback like, that was different. Like, I've gotten photos taken, and I've never done anything like that. I've never like jumped over a fence and tried something different.
Outside the box. Completely thinking outside the box.
So I guess it's like a little bit of a ninja / photo glamour shoot. But I really enjoyed that. And that was the moment where I was like, I definitely want to continue with photography. So moving over to Boston, and I'm at Berkeley. I'm at a music school where there's a lot of artists, and a lot of artists that will need photos taken or their shows or concerts captured and have a media presence on their platform. So that gave me the opportunity to explore more like what I can do with the camera too. And eventually, and I know this happens to a lot of photographers or videographers out there, like, you'll get asked, do you do video too? And you just go, yeah, like, why not? Why? I can do photography. Video is also very interesting, and I've dabbled into it, like, back when YouTube first started. This was a high school friend said, you can totally like kill it on the YouTube channel. Like, this was back in 2006. Like, we're talking way back. And
2006.
So I was like spending hours and hours like editing videos just for fun and put it on YouTube. And got like a little bit of a following. I mean, back then, like, I had 3,000 subscribers back then. That was a lot. I was like, holy shit. Sorry, I don't know if we can swear. But
I still have 3,000 followers. Still struggling to get
now like pet dogs have
like
2.1K.
Yeah,
just
easy.
from living on the couch, you know, and doing cute videos.
Times have changed, man.
Times have changed.
And there you were like putting in work to make a video and dropping it out there.
All kinds of stuff. Okay. Like it was like music video for like my cousin or just a story.
Yeah.
You know, I explored in many different things. So anyways, like fast forward, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested in trying out video stuff. So it kind of grew. And then for work, like I eventually got an assistant producer job at Berkeley because they have an online school.
Yeah.
So for, you know, anyone that wants to just learn remotely, make sure it's still going. I saw, good call. Still going.
Still going. That didn't mean anything, God.
Yeah, so I got to work in a studio and kind of just be there for whatever the producer needed. Work on studio, help build sets, record, you know, work audio, and then also editing too. So I had like a small desk on the side in the cubicle section, and whatever they needed edited that day.
Wow.
And that was the other thing too. Like I taught myself how to edit videos like on Windows. I explored. I did a lot of things that I was exploring. And
I'm afraid of you.
Oh God, don't be afraid.
You know yourself.
Yeah, so I had, what was it, Windows Movie Maker. If anyone, I know I'm dating myself right now, but Windows Movie Maker on like the old Windows computer.
I have no clue what that is.
This is before the iMovie. But yeah, I was always just trying to cut things together and see what comes out. But eventually, you know, explored with Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
And I didn't know too much of the software, but enough to, you know, do something like basic videos. And so with the assistant producer job, they also use like the Adobe Suite softwares.
Yeah.
And I got to learn more of the techniques from them. So that helped me out a lot. Just exploring more with video editing and, you know, learning the cameras more and the techniques. But so that's how I transitioned over to like the visual side with photography. And there's a lot I can say about that, but that's like the gist of it. And then after graduating at Berkeley, we're putting a pause on the music story right now, but for video and photography, I eventually got a job offer. I did some exploring after Berkeley. I went to the Middle East for like a few months.
Gotcha.
And then came back here. I was like really trying to figure out like I need some consistent pay, and I was gigging a lot with music, but I needed something consistent. And I thought, you know, photography and video, there's something there. There's something there with real estate, especially in Boston. It's always been booming. So I looked into a couple creative firms that focused more on that, and found one that I've been working with for a couple of years. So I felt that was a good opportunity just to learn more of the tools, the gear, and also to help fuel my music, because I didn't want to let that go. So I'm doing my best to keep the story contained.
I'm enjoying the story. I'm enjoying the story. It's amazing, honestly.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job summarizing everything. Like, we're touching every single part of your life, and I like it. Please just roll.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you. So that was how video and photography came into the picture, pun intended, and developed.
The picture.
That was so bad.
That was good. That was a good one. Life happens for a reason. Perfect timing. Video and came into the picture. Okay.
Yeah.
Real estate. You went into real estate, you know.
Yes. That was interesting. I mean, it's not something, obviously, that I want to be doing the rest of my life. But it has taught me a lot. So I work for a creative firm that does the marketing portion. So I don't do real estate.
Yeah, you just take pictures of.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into it. But I started off as just a photographer at first, but now I do video production, because we tell more stories behind what goes on in like the skyscrapers that you see in Boston, downtown. Like, who built it? How was it built? Who are the developers and the architects that put their minds to get the permits and build something like that, and what goes into the construction. So we kind of do like documentaries of that. And then for photography, like, we do like our architectural commercial photography, and I got my drone commercial pilot license to do drone stuff. And we
Did you learn that by yourself, or you took
no, that I can't say I learned that by myself. That would have been, I mean, you can just like flying it, sure,
but you still
but
had
for
to.
commercial, you need your license for that.
Gotcha.
And they actually, there's a lot of resources online. If like you are interested in getting it, you can learn by yourself. But the thing is, the laws with drone regulations changes like every couple months. I wouldn't even say every year. It's every couple months, because it's still in the early phases. And I mean, back when it started, there was nothing. Like, people can fly anywhere, do whatever they want, and then there'd be accidents happening. So they had to put regulations on it, but they keep updating it. So I did it through an online school. And, you know, a couple months, what was that, like 2 months study for that? And
wow, you finally did something without you finally paid for something and took a class. Oh, wow. Congratulations, man.
Hey.
I never thought you were going to do it.
Yeah, so there's that. We also like fly in helicopters to get some aerial shots. Like, if there's some specific project that requires a higher altitude, the drone won't cut it. We need something higher, so we'll do that. So I'm just grateful that I was able to dive like completely into that world and learn not so much like real estate. Sure, it's more of like the production side with that company. I've learned a lot, and then in the meantime, I've been still freelancing on the side and doing more of like the creative projects on the side. So I'm now at a point in life where I'm just trying to, I guess you can say I'm in a fork in the road, because I do want to take off with doing my own thing fully. So I'm doing a little bit of everything that will eventually merge. Merge together.
So what would you do fully, like your own thing? Like, what would it be?
Definitely in production. Music, for me, I've always said this for many years, music and the visual will always be there.
Gotcha.
In my heart, and like what I want to do with people and make something great. So like I'd love to just either run like a production company and that has a little bit of everything, or one of those, like if it's just going to be video or photography. I can't let go of any of the, like those three, music, photography, film, and there's just so much that you can do with it.
And they're all together.
They are. But it's such a powerful medium through communication and telling people stories. And I've, from like the photography that I do, I always try to bring out like people's, you know, what they're about and share their art and story. And same with film. Like I'm working on these small projects now where I'm interviewing like athletes and how they got to where they are, and like the type of how they work through, you know, their struggles, and then also like their challenges and what drives them, like why they do what they do. And so just collaborating with people in general, like that keeps me alive, that keeps me going. And there's so much you can do with like those three mediums and more, like dance. But I love production. I love piecing things together and seeing, you know, how how things work individually, but then when you put it together, like when you watch a really great film and you see how much work you watch the credit roll and you see like how many people it took. I love that. It's a collective. It's a collective effort. So yeah, I am kind of a one woman show in many ways, but I do want to keep expanding and do that with others. So it's a work in progress.
Wow, that's dope, man. Round of applause for you.
Appreciate it.
So you even thought about like having like a one-stop all, like, you know, music video in one, 3-in-1 kind of like. So, you know, whatever artist you're working with, you know, he does his music, his videos, and also his photo with you. Like, you know, you ever thought of something like that?
Oh, I have.
Right?
Yeah. I think it'd be just having like a production warehouse gives so much flexibility with building. Yeah, and it must
not be you doing everything, you understand, right? You could have different people but you just, because you love these 3 things, you could just have different people to head all these different departments, but you just provide that service to people, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that Ali has to be here in music, here in video, here in photo, you know? Just someone else, you know, being there for you.
Yeah. Having a team. Even like when I composed music and I was rehearsing with a band, like I always loved what everyone brought to the table and their individual style and personality. I didn't want to just tell people what to do and it's got to be my way. I really loved that two-way, like collaborative dynamic in the room, and I've always invited that. So same just with any of the projects that I work on. There's just something that you're just making in the moment together. It's this magic that I can't quite put my finger on, but when you connect with people that way, like it's different, and I get very excited about it, and it's like, holy shit, we're creating something good here. I love that, whether it's in music and video, photography. So that's
I've seen that part of you.
Oh,
like
okay.
when we make our workout videos, it was that we used to go, you bring one exercise, I bring one exercise.
Yes.
Right? It was always, okay, what exercise do you have in mind? Okay. And
well, like we're challenging each other too, because
yeah.
we're like learning from that.
And I remember like your moves are moves that I have never seen before.
Oh.
You get right? So it's like, oh wow, like you realize that there's so much out there for you. Like you thought you knew it. You thought like, oh good, but wait till you try. You bring someone else in and they show you their world.
Oh,
and
it's
you're like,
true.
It's a completely different world.
It's true.
Yeah. Because you had different ways of working on your core that I have never seen before. You understand? I'm like, oh wow, this is really interesting. And all that came from your dancing and like, you know, different martial arts and all that. Like you just bring that into the workout field. So
interesting. Martial art wasn't something I tried until later on in life. Like I didn't have experience in it earlier on. I loved to play fight as a kid.
Just like, jump into things.
Jump into things. But growing up, I did watch my brother did taekwondo. When he was younger. So growing up, I watched him in competitions, and I think I was also just so busy with the other
things that you were doing,
extracurricular activities. So I didn't get a chance to get into martial arts. But one of the projects I started working on recently, I think this was around the time we met in 2019. I was working on just building this like action figure prototype. And for a potential like film project, which you know about, Rogue Black. Exploring into that, it only started as a photography like idea. I wanted to just create this character, this badass like female character. She's an assassin of some sort. We don't know the full story, but I created that, and out of that, like, I don't know, it just ignited some interesting ideas. Like, this could be a film. This could be a video idea. Like, where can we go with this? And it actually changed a lot of my training for the next like 2 to 3 years, like drastically. I remember you work with sticks too, like, you know, like like eskrima sticks or like, the staff, like the bow, and weaponry. So yeah, I got in touch with I somehow this friend, now a friend, but a few people saw Rogue Black that I put on Instagram, and it just started these interesting connections with people I would have never been exposed to.
Yeah.
People in the martial art world, people in the stunt world, in the film production world, and you know, they were interested. They're like, what is this? Like, there's something here, like, let's create something. And it's been an interesting journey from then on. But yeah, just to go back to like the martial art part and training, like my training drastically changed. I started training and thinking like as Rogue Black, this character, like what would she be doing? What are her tools and what are her skill sets as a fighter? Yeah. And so I jumped into a little bit of MMA. I jumped into a little bit of like tricking and tumbling and just practicing any and all of those like elements and see like how we can piece it together for this character. So yeah, it's been fun.
do you ever believe in limitations? Honestly, do you believe you have limits? Do you believe, like, what's your mindset towards limitation? Like, I want to know.
Yeah.
You understand, right? Like, because you have no limit.
I try to push my limits, and you know, we have to be realistic. There are some limitations, but I always want to constantly learn new things, but also just to better like my toolkit and perspective. And the human body is an amazing thing. There's so much we can do with it. And I'm always trying to see like, what else can I do? What's the next level I can push to? And so limitation is an interesting word, because again, we do have to be realistic. I can't just like go on the roof and jump off, obviously. And we're not robots either. Like, we fluctuate. Like, even like we strive for perfection, like our diets, like the shape of our body, but we fluctuate. There's ups and downs, and it's how to like understand how to adjust when you do struggle in the downs, or when you are at your peak. Like, I don't know, it's constantly changing, and you have to adapt.
And sometimes take a break, like you said.
Taking breaks. So, but yeah, I'm never gonna stop. Like, I always have that curiosity, and I want to feed that curiosity with trying new things. And even if it's just one thing, you can spend a lifetime mastering that, and like, there's so much to learn. So there's no, I guess in that aspect, there's no limitations. There's so much. So
no, I'm sitting down with you, and I'm like, damn, lucky. I want to do more stuff too, because trust me, like, you can we just name all the things you do? Like, can we just
oh guys, God, are you sure?
Like, I want this people to know who I'm talking to, you understand, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so I'll let you do it. I'll let you, like, you tell us the things you can do.
The things I can do. So I guess I'll start with music, because music was the first thing that I started with. So I play piano, tenor sax, alto sax, I guess you could say, and guitar.
Play guitar too?
Yeah, and the joke at Berkeley was that, like, you go to Berkeley like playing one instrument maybe, but you leave Berkeley playing 2 to 3 instruments.
You actually got 3.
So I picked up guitar at Berkeley, and there's a lot of guitarists, and you know, everyone's learning from each other, and it eventually rubs off on you. So anyways, so yeah, there's that. Where else do I go? I mean, I'm an editor, I'm a filmmaker, photographer, so we have that portion. I guess with sports, there's a long list. There's a long list. You want me to list it? Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I played beach volleyball for a while, soccer, basketball, ping pong. I actually used to play in tournaments for ping pong.
When do you have time to play?
This was like many years ago, so maybe it doesn't count, but it's probably the most random fact about me.
That's 10. You said 10 things, okay? Keep
Did
going.
I? Okay, you're counting.
I'm
okay,
counting.
okay. So I was a serious slackliner for a while. Do you know what slacklining? Have you heard of that?
Nah.
It's like walking on tightrope.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's a little looser, so
Little
not
looser.
exactly like super tight like at a circus you would see tight ropes. It's kind of wobbly and loose.
Sorry,
Yeah, you're good. So I did that for a while.
11.
Skating. I did longboarding. I did downhill free ride longboarding. So you're doing like steep hills, and you do slide tricks. So you're wearing gloves, and you do these slide tricks. And I did that. I don't know, maybe like 2-3 years, but okay. There's more.
Softboarding.
Snowboarding.
Snowboarding.
Yeah. Surf. Yeah. So surf is tough. I dabbled in it, but I won't say that I'm a surfer.
Okay.
And rollerblading is still in my life. Like
hugely huge. There's a season for that. You go on and off that. There's a season where all you just do is rollerblade.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's a season so you get off that and you.
Yeah, but all to say, I mean, there's more. I can list more, but
You
all to
dance too?
say, I dance. Yeah, I did have a dance background. I grew up dancing ballet and tap. I went to a dance school, so they kind of teach a little bit of everything. So dance, tap, and I was on hip hop teams.
Yep.
And when I moved to Boston, I explored more in West African dance, a little bit of like from Ghana or Senegal.
I remember you were posting videos of that on Instagram too.
Yeah.
And I said I was going to join you, but I never did.
Oh.
You remember, like, I commented and said, I want to, you're like, come over, man. This is going to be fun. Like,
well, yeah, and then I explored into salsa. I was on a salsa team. I performed too a little bit with dance, like with some bands I would perform. So all of these interests, like, it helps fuel creativity a lot for me and exploring different aspects of it. But I really loved how, at least in Boston, I would say there's so many communities and different worlds that you can get into.
Yeah.
There's just so much happening, and I kind of course, the curiosity, it goes far for me. So like I wanted to explore in like slacklining or rock climbing or
you rock climb too.
Yeah. I think now, so I know I'm capable of pushing those limits for myself and trying these things. Some of them are like, you got to be a daredevil to do it. And just be courageous to try it, because some of it could be scary. But I think now I'm like at a point in life where I'm practicing restraint, and focus, like narrow down my focus on something. If you really want to, take it far, like whether it's, your business, the career, the direction you go, because if not, you're going to get spread so thin. So those are all the passions I still love and like near and dear to my heart. Like I'm never going to stop moving. You know that, Lucky. Every day I'm moving. So I'm just like narrowing down the focus a little more so that it makes more sense.
No, I feel you. That makes a lot of sense. Like now you're like, okay, I've done all these things. What are the ones that I can now just... You can't be committed to all of them at the same time. It's not possible. In order for you to be successful, you have to pick a few and just dial in on that right there. And but my question is, how do you have time for all this things? So like when you were doing all of this, like how did you create time? Like what was your day like? Even till now, what's your day like?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I'd have to cycle through it. Like you said, you can't do everything simultaneously. So whether it was seasonality or, breaking it down like quarterly or whatever the case would be for depending on the schedule, I have to cycle through them. So with certain sports, like if it's going to be in the summertime, like, I would just get back to it like the next season and then focus on more internal things or like, and then some things overlap. So I think that's the best way I could say it. And then, like I said before, I I really don't sleep much. It's not healthy. I don't recommend it, but
So how many hours of sleep do you get a day? How many hours?
oh man, I mean, on a good day, I guess 5 to 6.
Really?
But I would, yeah. I mean, that's still a lot. I think that's.
Oh,
but yeah, I'm always I work full time with this creative firm.
Yeah.
And then I go home and I'm working on my side projects
yeah.
or like my clients for side projects, and I'm working hours like late night doing that. And then I try to squeeze in whatever training I can. I try to, for consistent training, I try 2 to 3 times a week. Like I go somewhere and I train, but also just for every day, I try to do, even if it's in my apartment, like get a 10-minute, movement of some sort, whether it's like stretching or right now, like even rolling, like foam rolling.
Yeah.
I gotta incorporate that like almost every day. So I just try to fit in. I don't know if that answers your question. Yeah.
No. I like it. I like the fact that you say some things are seasonal. You understand me, right?
Yeah.
And when the season is off, you focus on your energy on other things, internal stuff.
Yeah, but even like with my photography business, I used to shoot everything. Like if you went on my old website a while back, you would see like I can do a wide range of services. I did weddings, I did event photography, whether it was concerts or like regular portraits or family portraits, it was all there. And I've learned over time, like, to be a little bit more successful and have like
a niche or something.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have a niche to just get further and have I guess like just stronger clientele. And so I eventually just like narrowed that down more. So it's great to have a variety. I think you still need to practice like experimenting and trying different things, but in the business it just goes further if you are more focused. Narrow it down. So my focus recently has been more in
real estate.
No, like I mean there's that. I keep like your face is always like, oh, there's more. I mean for like my projects that I've been working on, I've been focusing more with like personal branding.
Okay.
And branding in general, but mostly with like smaller businesses that are either they have been a little bit established or they're just starting out and like kickstarting that. So so that's like outside of the full-time real estate gig that I do. So there's a lot, but yeah.
I would want us to talk about this new gig, the personal branding for business and all that. But before we do that, I just want to take you back a little bit. From your story, like, it's just amazing that you didn't believe in the word. No, I can't do it. You get it, right? Like, I can learn it. Like you. I think you always had this. I may not be able to do it now, but I can learn how to do it. And you never like give excuses of saying I don't have the resources. You made sure you made it happen. Question is like, where did this come from? Like, there's you that just didn't say no to anything. Are you trying to prove someone wrong, or it's just this thing inside you that just wants to, like, where's this energy coming from?
Yeah, I think my earliest memory of something like that, maybe it was proving to myself mostly, but I've been an asthmatic my entire life. I've had asthma since I was like 6 months old, and I never let that stop me with, like, especially with sports. Like, it can trigger your asthma attacks. Like, I was in the hospital a lot when I was younger, like for like a couple days to a week. It was very, very common. And we were all trying to figure out like what are causing the triggers, but obviously with my hyperactivity that did not help
at all.
At all.
Two opposite things.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And so like, the teachers would be like, maybe you should sit this one out. But in sports, I'm very competitive, like healthy competitive, but I want to get out there and I want to play. I want to do the best I can.
Yeah.
And I want my team to win. Yeah. So I was always like, all in. I'd have an asthma attack and like we're in the middle of the field. I'm about to like score this goal or pass the ball to my teammate. Yeah. And you can hear me wheezing. They're like, Allie, you need to sit out. And I'm like, no, I don't want this to stop me. And like throughout the years, it's always been like that. So, I think I don't know. I always felt like I don't want to tell myself I can't do something, or even with just teachers like saying like you'll never figure this out, or because I can't like solve like a math problem as quickly as, or finish the exam as quickly as other students. I don't know. I think maybe it is trying to prove to myself, or maybe it's a great question. I haven't thought of that.
Anyways, I'll let you think about that.
Sure.
But true be told, like it's really mind blowing. You get right? Hearing the kind of person you are, and just knowing that you never like everything they said you couldn't do, you understand, right? That's what you're trying to do. You had ADHD, asthma, like those two things there can literally just stop someone from doing anything. You get right? Because you're hyperactive, and being hyperactive doesn't help you when you're asthmatic. Like you have to just. But like for some reason you were able to balance both of them, and just amazing. That leads to my next question: what can stop you?
What can stop me?
Yeah, or who can stop you? Because you look unstoppable. You understand, right? Even ADHD, asthma, wherever your background, wherever you're coming from, none of that has stopped you from getting to where you are, because it didn't stop you from entering Berkeley, even though you knew that. You knew it wasn't possible, you understand, right? But still, that didn't stop you understand? Or like, what do you think can stop you?
I mean, it sounds cliche, but I think myself. I've had moments where I felt like I let myself down because I didn't take a chance on something, or I didn't feel like I was prepared for an opportunity, and I just said, I can't do it. Yeah. Even at Berkeley, like it's such a competitive school, and the whole time I was there, I was like, I don't belong here. Like I don't, maybe I don't deserve to be here because I'm not as good as everybody else. And I felt like, I think later on in the years, just before graduating, I kind of felt like I lost my voice. It was a mixture of burnout with. It's hard when you create. Sometimes you can't force creativity, but you kind of have to. Like at a music school, you're gonna have to
stay.
Yeah, you have to always stay on the whole time. Yeah. And performing too, but I think overall I got very self-conscious about my voice as a musician. Yeah. And I felt like I lost it, and maybe because I let that inner voice get to me, like you're not as good, you're not good enough, like why are you doing this? So I still feel like I, in some ways, like I know we talked about limitations before, but mentally I think there's that voice is still there, and you have to like always fight it. Yeah. So yeah, there was one thing I was gonna say about the asthma part. I felt like some of the physical activities, like running or playing a wind instrument, actually helped my asthma tremendously.
Oh really?
You'd think the opposite.
The opposite, yeah.
Because you're thinking like, obviously this is going to trigger and over-exacerbate your lungs, but no, it helped increase lung capacity. Like having consistent running regulating your heartbeat and or swimming, and playing a wind instrument, or maybe vocal lessons too. You're practicing techniques for your diaphragm and breath control. So when you're in a situation of being in an asthma attack, in a moment of crisis, instead of like panicking or not feeling in control of your body, there is some control there because you've kind of practiced it before
through all these exercises and things.
So in ways I think that's also why, like, I didn't want asthma to stop me with, you know, some of these activities I'm doing, but I felt like it was also part of, like, there's certain trainings I want to do to, if I'm in a situation that's going to be I guess urgent, whether it's survival or fight or flight, like, I want to at least somewhat be prepared or feel like my body can handle this. Because like, you don't want to be in a situation where you felt like, I should have been able to run out of this and I can't. I don't know. Sometimes my mind goes into the extreme, but you know what I mean? It's the same with parkour. Like, I really loved training parkour. There's so many beautiful aspects of it, but just from a safety from a safety standpoint, like, if you can get over an obstacle to just get out of a situation, like, why not? Like, maybe your body can, maybe you can do it.
I feel you.
Anyway.
Wow. So I remember you said something about, like, being in Berkeley, like, you have moments where your mind was that little voice, you know, little bitch voice saying you can't, this is not for you, you're not good enough for this. And I get it, like, you understand, right? Like, I guess I would feel the same way. I guess anyone would feel the same way, just based on how you got to where you are today, your self-thought, you understand, right? You look at these other people that really spent money and, you know, to get to where they are right now, you know, which I feel like you deserve it more because you made a way where there was no way, you understand, right? So, like, when you get this, because if you have money, you can do anything. There's no stress, like, you understand? But I feel like doing something without money, making a dream come to reality without money, without, you know, that extra guidance, you take it all by yourself and you make it happen. I feel like you deserve it more than the person that had all those, because, like I said, it's easier with them. But you have to go through those, you know, moments where you don't even know how to. You had to figure things out every single day. You fail, you get back up, you fail, but with money you fall less. But, like, teaching yourself something, there's moments where you wanted to give up, but you still push through. So I feel like if anybody else, they deserve that, you are the one that deserves it, because you fought your way here. Some people paved their way there. You get it, right? Yeah. But that's also just my thought. But, like, what do you do in moments where you have that, this is not, you don't deserve this, like, you know, when that little voice comes, like, what do you do? Like, how do you?
You have to really just tune it out, and it's easier said than done. I think I also had to remind myself, like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? And remind yourself of the bigger picture. Because obviously it's not going to be like a straightforward path. It's not going to be like a smooth road. So just reminding yourself, taking a step back, like, hey, wake up. This is why you're here, you know, and just focus and, like, try to tune out that voice. And I think also just, like, reminding yourself, I mean, you're not always going to feel motivated to get something done or go through it, but if you're constantly practicing that habit of, you know, going and like, at the time, like, as a musician at school, like, you put in 4 to 6 hours of practice. Like, you lock yourself in a room. We call it the shed. It's when you go in and you just practice your chops. And you shed for 4 to 6 hours, like, practicing, going over the same melody or you know, the certain notes that you're working through or working through your solo. And it's tough because, like, there was a point where I was like, I was so self-conscious of people hearing me. Like, I was like, this is so uncomfortable. But tuning out, I think I would say mainly is like tuning out.
Tune out the noise.
Yeah, tune out the noise. Yeah.
Did you ever doubt yourself in the process? No, with everything
Definitely.
you've done, have you ever doubted yourself?
Yeah, I did, like a lot. And I think I just had to remind myself, like, yeah, you know, what do you have to lose? Like, what's the worst case that can happen? You know, you don't get that audition, or you got rejected. People don't like your work that you put out. But if you don't do it, you're never gonna know. You're never gonna grow from it either, because you will make mistakes. And the doubt is never gonna leave. I don't think that ever goes away.
There's no time where. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that part of your brain. It's part of the fear, and the stress. It's there because it's trying to protect you.
Yeah.
Even like when you get on stage and you're about to perform, you feel nervous. I don't know. Some people don't feel nervous. I still feel nervous.
I still feel nervous.
Or if I work with a client, I'm still going to feel nervous. But it's good. It's good that it's there. You just need to be able to control it and tune out that voice when necessary.
Yeah.
So
I think that nervousness is just like a control check. You understand, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of like put you like, hey man, be aware of, and like it's like keeps you in check. Once you feel that feeling, like, okay, I feel it. Now I have to make sure that I don't make the mistakes that, like, for example, I remember I told you how I make the mistakes of not recording, you understand, right? So even when I start a podcast, I'm nervous, like, so it just like keeps me in that position where I have to make sure that this is in control, like everything is going as planned. But and the last time I didn't record was because I was not nervous.
It was like you were overconfident.
I was overconfident, and I just boom, and that was what happened. So I like literally I was so smooth with this. Like, we got this, man. Let's go.
You're like, hey, we're done. It's in the books.
I now realize I didn't even feel a single bit of nervousness, and then later on I realized that I didn't record. But those days that I feel nervous is like, okay, I gotta make sure everything is in place. You understand, right? So I guess that's that's really a good point.
Like it has a healthy dose of it,
but like just you said, too much of it could be
debilitating.
Disastrous.
I literally felt like I was choked, like my voice. In terms of like if I'm soloing on the saxophone. I mean, that's a huge part of as a performer, as a saxophonist, is you're letting your voice out, you're letting out your personality. And for some reason I let that get to me, and I felt like it was like my light was dimming. So I struggled with that for a few years, and I also just took a break from music after graduating. I needed a break because I just felt burnt out, and get back to it later.
I'm glad you took a break. I'm glad to hear you were burnt out, because I was feeling like we're the only one we get burnt out.
Oh my God, you're hilarious.
You never.
Oh no.
I didn't know you were human. Wow, welcome to.
You're funny.
Okay, so let's go into like being a female and doing what you're doing. You get me right? Like the path you're creating right now. What are some of the challenges that if you've had any, you get right? Like if you've had any, and how were you able to overcome those challenges?
As like a female artist or athlete, like any of
Black,
the aspects.
Female, all of them put together.
Sure. I think there were definitely moments where, I felt like I wasn't taken as seriously. And obviously, I mean, as a kid, I wasn't into the typical like stuff that most girls or people would expect women or girls to be into. I did a lot of stuff that were more considered masculine. Like I was into sports, I was into fighting, I was and I was like a little daredevil, so I was just doing extreme stuff all the time. And but I didn't think it didn't bother me as like I knew it was atypical, but I was like, I'm still gonna do it. I'm interested in it, and I didn't let that, I guess, affect my my curiosity and to like pursue things. I also I don't want like for anything I do for it to be like female first and then
male.
And then what I do, like, oh, you're a female this, you're a female that. I just want to be that, like whatever I do,
yeah.
And either consider that I'm good at it or I'm not, whatever the case, but not that.
It's not that you're a female and then this.
Yeah, and I think same for being black as well. I know the importance and why we want to highlight that, like, here's maybe the first black person that achieved this, or but I still don't want to put such like a strong label just because of that, if that makes sense. I don't know. I just want to be recognized for the work and the skills that I put into whatever field I'm in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense because you put a lot of time, skills and effort into what you do, so it'd be really good if people could recognize you for that and not because of your sex or your color.
Exactly,
right?
because it takes away. It puts all the concentration on something that could be divisive.
Yeah.
But I totally understand why that happens, and it's you're trying to uplift, or I don't know. And also, I think just doing and leading by example, let's say, will maybe. It'll inspire people regardless, or maybe not. I don't know, but like I don't want to have to say. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's just.
It makes sense. Don't worry. You don't have to explain. The first thing you said made a lot of sense. You get right. Like,
yeah.
I think it is beautiful, like to be valued. You understand, right? And respected for what you're bringing to the table. You understand, right? And not for your sex or your color.
And you know, I'm still gonna push and try to, I guess, show my presence in something and not feel intimidated, or not, if I'm not taken seriously, I'm still gonna push for to be in the space as well.
I respect that.
So I just try not to. I don't want to dwell on that as much.
That's a good mindset and a good place to be. So let's talk about this new brand you're building. Mm-hmm. Sounds very interesting. Sounds like something I wanna know more about. Let's spread the awareness. So you said your new like side gig, right?
Yeah, or like the niche of photography that I do. Yeah.
You spoke about working with up and coming businesses and like. I've forgotten what you really said, but I want you to now. Let's talk about this for like, for the next few. Yeah,
so personal branding. So just showing someone starting a business, but showing their personality as well, and having a personal connection with like the services they put out and showing their presence. I'll help out with any aspects of that in photography. So it's a lot of portraiture, but I kind of dive deep into what they're about and learn what they want to share. And sometimes they have a personal brander that's working in the design aspects, and we together build like a look for the company or the brand. And it's it sometimes it's not like a one session thing. It could be like a couple of months of build something together. I love it because you're taking more time to develop something versus like, okay, just come in the studio, shoot something. There's more creative development with it that I really enjoy. Plus you're collaborating with other people on the team if they have like a branding person, or maybe a like a stylist, a director. Like there's just a little more added to it. So that would be like the quick explanation. I enjoy it. I still do other photography stuff, but what I'm like putting or exposing more out there is the personal brand.
Yeah, that human side of that person.
Yes.
Through a picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like you said, something that takes a while. You understand, right? Working for a long period of time before you can actually get to see person for who they truly are. you just can't see a person from one day. You understand, right? I just can't know who you are in a day. It's something that will have to happen, like lots of pictures, lots of trial and error, and then till before you can now know, okay, this picture speaks to you, and that's like lots of trial.
Yeah, I mean, well, the preparation phases will be like, I guess not super long, but like let's say it takes a month to prepare for the shoots.
Yeah.
And then maybe it's a 2-day shoot, maybe it's
Gotcha.
a 3-day shoot, maybe it is a 1-day shoot, but leading up to that, there's a lot of like getting to know phase that goes into it. So it's not rushed. And then it's also like it can continuously change. Like the next year they might want to add something new, and we go back to the drawing board and create something different or a continuation of it. So I'm like exploring more into it too, and I'm figuring out some processes or some approaches that I want to incorporate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you don't mind
It's
talking
fun.
about it, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because you said I'm still working on it, so I just don't want to spill out something that you're not ready to bring out.
I enjoy it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then my next question, like, what inspired you to what was the reason behind you coming up with this new brand? Like, what inspired you to do it?
Well, I think it was already kind of there beforehand. I just wanted to expand more. Like, obviously, with these like photography sessions, you are getting to know someone, even if it's a small window of time. But I really enjoy just the whole creative aspect from start to finish, from building the concept, and in the moment there's a little bit of like I like to mix impromptu with some planning. So we might plan some of the shots, but you have to let some things just happen naturally. And then the post-production of that, I love the editing aspect, but like everything that gets into in the final picture, there's a reason for it. And whether that speaks to their personality, their brand, I think it needs time, and you can't rush through it. So yeah, it's an ongoing process.
Makes
I guess.
Sense. Makes sense. Shout
Yeah.
out to you. Last question on this topic. How can it affect? So how can I benefit from this? So for example, I'm a personal trainer into exercise. How can paint the picture for me if I work with you? Like, what is the process gonna be like?
Okay,
Just curious.
definitely.
Hella curious, for real.
Well, I definitely would love to learn like if I'm your client, what's my experience like with Lucky from start to finish, and just getting to know your routine or your structure, and then you basically need to show to your audience like what it's like experiencing something with you. So with workout training, coaching, there'd be a mixture of you talking through with your clients, like if it's a consultation, like capturing all of that, and maybe in different environments, and then even just to get a little biopic of you, like what you're like, and show your personality. So in your about page, like getting a portrait taken, or maybe even videos mixed into that, and you getting to share like what it is like to expect to work with you. But also branding elements to that too. So if you do have like a branding style, there's colors that are involved with that design. And how that fuses with photo. It has to be seamless. There's got to be continuity with that. So I try to figure that out, whether you already have branding that's existing, or we start from scratch. And if there's a graphic designer, I would work with them to make like a cohesive image for like your website or social media platform. And kind of like, also I love like follow someone along, like in the day of lucky, what it's like to be in your space.
Yeah, my space. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a little bit like that.
Love it. It sounds something I need to do. You understand?
Oh
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad you.
Well,
brought
feel
it up.
free to ask me any questions.
Hey, I'll keep the next questions private.
Okay. Definitely, I'd love to help out. So let me know.
Okay. So, what are your aspirations and goals in life? Like, what are you trying to be remembered for? You know, what? Yeah.
I mean, I just love like helping people with production. So if it's like telling their stories or getting their message out, like I think I just want to continue doing that. And it could be on a large production part of it or something small. But I think that, you know, like some organizations need help like with like fundraising, or if they have like a music program they want to put out, or just giving back that way. I think I need to use the tools that I'm good at to be able to help others. And I think that's something I would want to continue doing. I mean, I've explored in the elements of like as being a performer, being in front of the camera, but I don't feel as comfortable being in front of the camera. I like
behind the camera.
I love being in the creative side.
Really?
Yeah. Even though like we talked a little bit about Rogue Black, but even that idea, I'm okay with someone else doing it, but I want to help like facilitate the ideas and creating things. So I see myself in that role continuously, and just help others like you know, create whatever it is in the vision that they have. And I find, you know, the medium that I work through is such a strong tool. Camera, microphone, like these are strong tools to, you know, to get communication out. So I don't have like an exact picture in my head to answer you two. I know it's always going to be like creating. Yeah.
I mean, that's a good answer. The fact that you want people's stories to be heard. You understand, right? Through photos or videos or music, like basically. And I like how you talk about organizations, if they need help, you know, putting the word out there. I feel like we're all here for a different purpose, but at the end of the day, we're still one. You know, and it's like a body. Like there's an eye for seeing. You know, you could be that part that I'm not here for everything. I'm just here for one thing. I just want to make sure your video, like, you understand me, right? The right message you want to pass across in your video, it's being seen. You get right? No, that's all I'm here for. And after that, I'm out. You get right? And I think that's literally like what life is all about. You know, like we're all here, even if we're different. We're all just in some way here for a bigger picture. We don't know what that picture is, but we're all here to just play a role. And after that, once that role is over, sometimes, you know, we die, but it's all about once your role is over, you understand me, right? You got nothing else to do here. Like, get the fuck out of here.
You're funny.
Oh man. Okay, so
yeah, it's true.
You've had an amazing career. What's the biggest opportunity you've had? Like the first big one, you're like, whoa, I think I want to do this now for real. Like, I want to know, like, the aha moment for you, understand, right? That moment that changed you. You're like, you know what? This is how I want to do it.
Oh wow, yeah. I think it was when I got a chance to work with the Boston Symphony Orchestra.
Oh yes. Tell us about that story. I know a little bit of a story, but like, you know, let's.
I got to produce, direct, and perform for this project with Boston Symphony Orchestra. It was a Halloween project, and we put together a thriller flash mob in homage to Michael Jackson and the choreographer Michael Peters, and we combined it with the musicians from Boston Symphony Orchestra and did like a whole live production outside in the neighborhood in Boston. So I believe it was a 2-day performance. The first day was at the Symphony Hall, like in front of the building.
Yeah, I remember.
The second day, we had like a trolley, like a little bus, and we drove around in like in the neighborhood, and we had different pit stops. We would get out and just do like a whole surprise. Like people did not see it coming. Out of nowhere, yep. Yeah. So how that all started was like I think it was in 2016. Like it's funny enough, I'm not a huge Halloween person, but that year I was like, oh, I want to do something different. Yeah. So I went out. So for 1 hour, I went on YouTube. I learned Michael Peters' choreography. Like there's so many Thriller versions out there, but very few do it exactly like how Michael Peters did, and his choreography is amazing. Like I'm sure you've seen Thriller, like the classic
I've seen
music video. Yeah. When I was a kid and I saw that for the first time on TV, I think it was on MTV.
I think it was MTV, yeah.
And I think it was like back in '95. I saw it. I thought it was a movie at first because it was so elaborate. Like the intro, everything was well thought out, and it was freaky too. But I was just so captivated on TV. I was like, this is such a classic. So I was like, I want to do this classic like Halloween night. I went outside, I turned on my car, I had the headlights on, and I just danced the Michael Jackson Thriller by myself in the streets.
I used to, and people were watching you.
People trick-or-treating, they walk by, they're like, you know, the parents recognize the song, but the kids are like, what is she doing? And it kind of just like ignited this fire in me. Like, I want to do this next year with like just a group of friends. Let's just do it for fun. We'll go around downtown and just dance this for fun. Like, just have like a group of maybe 8 to 10 people. So I did that the following year, and it kind of, you know, it's amazing. Some things, when you push yourself to do something, things just connect like naturally. And I noticed that happens like often. Like if you just, I don't know, just let things flow naturally, and things will come to you like from the universe. I know this sounds so like cheesy. No, it doesn't. But I saw it.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Just go with the
yeah. So that year we happened to, I think this was, so in one of the neighborhoods they do, I'm not going to say where, I can't say where, but they do like this amazing huge like Halloween festival for the kids. Like they shut down some of the streets.
I know where that is.
And so we did a performance there, and there happened to be like a live band that was playing, and they caught on to our, you know, our Thriller flash mob. So they played the song live with us. So now it's like this whole like impromptu thing happening with another group of artists, musicians.
And you guys were just there to dance.
Yeah.
And there's a collaboration.
It was great. So, you know, that night was over. Didn't think of anything of it afterwards. Like a couple months went by, and I got a contact from this woman. She's from this organization. They do like productions in Boston. Yeah. They help out like artists and just give like exposure to small artists in Boston for many different things, like whether it's like art gallery, music. They do amazing stuff. So I got contacted by them, and they said, hey, we're trying to pitch something to BSO. They want to do something where there's more community engagement involved and not just like being at the Symphony Hall. And they were like, well, we saw you at this like Halloween throwdown. And they're like, can you tell us more about this? Like, would you be interested in pitching this with us? So I said yes. I'm like, you know, why not? But also we just built on top of that, like made it bigger. And I ended up I hired like a special effects makeup artist. He was his name's Tyler Green, and he's phenomenal. He was on the show Face Off. I don't know if you know
the movie of Face Off.
No. But you know those competition TV shows. So there's one for like they create like special effects, on the makeup and masks.
Okay. I think I saw it on Netflix or so.
Yeah. I think it might have been on Netflix. I don't know if it's still
You have
on,
to make
but
the face, paint the face.
yes,
I've seen it. Yeah.
And then I hired some dancers with various backgrounds. Some were break dancers, some were like contemporary dancers, and with the musicians, you know, like this was a whole year preparation. I started from January.
Wow.
Or maybe a couple months before that, up until October.
Wow.
And I had to piece all of these elements together, but I had so much fun and enjoying it because I kind of knew a little bit of, like, I have a dance experience, so I can, you know, help like choreograph and teach, like, with the dance portion, and then for video, like, I edited the video.
Oh, you did videos?
I edited the video,
and
then with the musicians too, like, just incorporating the dance moves, because the musicians had some dance moves as well, and like where to hit their notes, where to hit their dance moves. There was so much going on and preparing for it, and then rehearsals. So that was an aha moment, or one of the aha moments of, like, all of these elements, like, you can bring it together in a production, and that's where magic happens. And I love it. And the funny thing is, like, you prep for so long, but then that moment is like, it's done. Yeah, it's like, and then you feel like, oh, this is over. Like, there's like rehearsals and then performing. It's such a heightened environment, and there's a lot of energy, but it finishes so quickly
in a second or 5 seconds,
and it's like that baby you worked on for so long. It's done. But I love the whole process from start to finish. I've always loved that. So for me, like, that was one of the aha moments of, like, I love working in production in general, and I just want to continue that. I want to work on bigger projects, maybe a movie someday.
Hey, man. It's possible.
It's possible, yeah. And when you have a good team, man, like...
And then someone like you behind it.
I think just to give you one more aha moment, I got a chance to play a role in a movie, and this was in 2019 as well.
Oh, what movie?
Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters. It's a rom-com. It's with Diane Keaton and Jeremy Irons. There's a couple other...
Love, Wedding.
There's a couple other actors you'll recognize. I'm terrible with names, but the girl from...
Other Disasters.
Mm-hmm. The girl from, you remember the movie Taken?
Yes.
I'm gonna find
you and I'll kill you. I have some skills that
so the daughter from that movie, really? She's in it. There's a couple other, I'm just terrible with names. Yeah, no, pardon me. But just being on set, so I played as a musician. I was like a sax player, and I had a couple lines. It's towards the end of the movie if you ever, like, bother to watch it.
I'm just gonna fast forward to the end of the movie. Where's Ali?
But so just seeing like being on a film set and just watching the whole, like, what I've done in production is such a small scale, like a speck of what the film industry is like, but just to watch all the magic happen and everyone doing their part to make something work. Like you said before, like, we're all here, like, we all have different experiences, but we all play a part in life. Yeah. You know, whether we know it or not, like, how it affects, but so much goes into building a film, and in general, I just love, even like if you play in an orchestra, like when you're a collective organism, the bigger picture is just, there's so much to it, and, like, it's just amazing just to see, like, what we can achieve when we come together and tell a story. Like, it could be a powerful story, it could be life-changing, and, you know, music, film, movie, like, all of that is so powerful. I keep saying that, but I think it's amazing. So those were, like, some two aha moments where I'm like, I feel like I'm where I need to be and continue on this path.
That's dope.
So
That's dope. I envy that. Wow. Yeah, like the BSO thing, like when I saw it, it was beautiful.
Oh,
The
thank you.
dance, it was. Was I surprised? No, I was like, yep, that's Ali doing that thing. You understand, right? It really felt good seeing you out
It was
there.
really random, right?
Like, it was random, but at the same time, too, I was like, I'm happy for you. You get it, right?
Thank
Because
you.
you deserve it. You put a lot into it, and it came out very beautiful. The people going crazy on the street, bringing out phone, taking pictures.
That was my favorite part, like to
Right?
see people's like smiles on
Smile
their
on the face,
faces,
yeah.
and I don't know, the energy was there where it's like that's all I wanted to do. I just wanted people to be happy and like have fun.
I feel it.
I've always enjoyed that, like growing up when I watch performances and to see the performers on stage, like
Yep.
to see them in their element, and it's very inspiring. So I don't know if I'm going to be performing as much these days. Like I know I said before, like I like to be behind the camera,
Yeah.
and I think I'm finding my place there
Yeah,
more these days.
yeah.
So I'm doing less of like the dancing,
Dancing,
and
acting,
all that. But
yeah.
I'm just grateful that I was able to
Be part of that.
experiment with it and explore like those aspects as
That's-
an artist, I guess.
That's dope, man. I like people that say this, like, I don't think I want to be in front of the camera. I want to be behind the camera. It's something about, like, everybody wants to be seen. You understand me, right?
Right.
Everybody wants to
right.
be a star. And here you are saying, nah, I don't think, I want to make a star, but I don't want to be that star. It's just such a selfless act. You understand, right? That, like, it's just only you can feel. No one else can get the feeling you get from doing it. You get, right? You would, like, everybody wants to see the star. Like, oh, he's the. But, like, do you know the people that film this? Do you know the people that the level of work they put in? No one cares about that.
Yeah, it's true.
No one really. Their names just go by fast.
It's like what's behind the curtain. There's more than what meets the eye, and like it's not to take away from who's in front there, because they're doing an amazing job, whatever it is. But there's so much that it's like an iceberg. You look at the tip of it from what's exposed.
Yep,
but there's so much underneath.
So much underneath, yeah.
And I'm always in awe. Like even for example, like any of the Jackie Chan movies, like growing up I watched so much of his movies, but he would always show like the behind the scenes
yeah,
of the choreography.
Yep.
I mean, the stunts they would do. When you look at it in the moments in the movie, or like things happen in a flash, and I think we just take for granted how we think everything is just done easily, and there's so much work that goes into it. It would just make that, seeing stuff like that always made me appreciate, like, wow, I want to learn how that works. Like, how did you get the sound for this? How did you get, this type of lighting technique for this shot? So all of that out, it just made me like wanting to be behind the camera and just figuring out stuff like the technicality or how to piece it together, all of that. So yeah, I guess that's my answer.
That's amazing. Okay, so let me see. I want to ask this question. Like, what are some of your biggest failures that you've, I know you've had you just still growing, still learning, but like, so far, like, what are some of the failures you've had, and how have you been able to learn from them?
My biggest failure, I would say internally, I'm terrible with like tapping into, I guess, being just more emotionally, like putting my emotional thoughts out there, I'm always very closed off. And that can hinder, I guess, some growth, or like how you move forward with like relationships, like friendships and whatnot. And I wish, like, looking back, I wish I expressed myself a little more, because you're also like you're in your truth too when you do that, and I just held back. So I think the music aspect too, like I felt like I didn't push as far as I could have, and it's never too late. But definitely, like, the self-doubt that we talked about earlier on, I think that really kind of stunted my growth as a musician. I could have gone further with it. There's a lot of reservation and deciding, like, I can't maybe that's not my calling. Maybe it is, but I don't know. I think I didn't push it as far as I could have. And I still don't think it's too late. I'm not letting go of music. I'm never letting go of music. It's just music and we have a moment right now. Like we're taking that little break. And,
which is good. We need that break, to figure yourself out and what you want to do. And sometimes it's always just a minor setback for major comeback, so you could take a break for a little bit and then even come back better than find yourself first, and then later on you can, Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you said this. So now with what you know and what you've seen, if you can advise, the 15 years old Ali, a younger you, like, what would your advice be? What would you tell Ali?
I would say there's a lot I would say. I would say like whatever like path I would want to take, like try to find a mentor is very important. I think I kind of skipped through that. Like in college I was like, you know what, I'll figure it out, like and I kind of wish I had a little bit more guidance. And just being, I guess, I think I keep going back to the self-doubt, but like really tuning that out. What else would I say to a 15-year-old Ali? I don't know. I guess
I think
the world, it's not a kind place, and I think you have to accept that earlier on. And not, not everyone has good intentions, or you're going to learn some hard lessons, but you have to embrace some of those falls. I think they're important, and not let it get to you to like not push yourself to the next, or don't be so down on yourself because shit happens, pardon my French, but I don't know. I think that would be what I would tell her.
Honestly, like I'm sitting here and with everything you've done and like I've seen you do and you can do, and you're still talking about self-doubt, and I do just and like how much you wouldn't let that stop you, get right? And it's not even a joke, and I'm like, wow. How many of I question myself now, how many self-doubt have I let stop me from doing? Because like I feel like I've not done half of what I want to do.
Yeah.
You get right?
Same.
And most of that is coming from self-doubt.
Right.
Yeah, like
how do you overcome that, or what are your approaches for that?
So for me it's like I don't do a lot of stuff. I do like maybe one or two stuff. I just do one spot. And in situations like that where I have that self-doubt, I always first I make up my mind, you understand, right? That this part I want to go to, like I have to how do I express this? I make up my mind and say, like, for me, death is the highest thing that can happen to me. You get right?
Right.
So it's like I make up my mind and say, if I have to die doing this, you understand me, right? You get like, so when I'm in that situation of self-doubt, I also love to tell people around me. You get right? If I feel like I'm gonna fail, I love to tell my friends and tell them, hey man, I'm about to do something huge for the first time. If I fail, please don't laugh at me. You understand me, right? If I fail, please get me back up. You get me, right?
So you show some vulnerability.
Yes. I tell them, if I fail, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
And I'm about to support me, please. Like, I'm not begging for you to clap for me, but like when I fail, don't let me stay there for too long. You understand me, right?
Yeah.
If you see me fall down, pick me up. You understand? I might not be able to pick myself up, so I always let people know around me, like, hey man, I'm about to start something. I don't know where this is gonna lead, but if I fail, please don't laugh at me. If I fail, don't just help me get back up.
That's great that you allow yourself to open up.
I open
to
up
that too.
Yes. I tell people like that. I make that one clear, and then the next step is now I am willing to do whatever it would take. You understand, right? So it's like, after accepting that, it's like, don't worry about me. You get me, right? I have made up my mind that it has to be this. And if it means me, dying or doing whatever to make this happen, I have to make it happen. So at that point, failure comes from, sometimes, it's not you that you're worried about. It's what the world will think when you fail. You understand me, right?
It's very external.
It's mostly external. Like, what would the world say? What would people say? What would my friends say? So I try to bring those close to me and let them know that if I fail, I told you I was going to fail. Like, what are you still surprised about? You understand me, right? Like, I already told you I was going to fail. So this is it. Like, sometimes I tell people, like, I'm dumb. Like, I tell people a lot of some stuff that so when it happens, don't be, you understand? And that's not me making excuses for my actions, you understand, right? But that's just me letting you know my flaws and things that I am really not good at this, you understand, right? So if you put me out there and I fail, but I am willing to do my best to not fail.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I'm not failing because I'm not trying. I'm failing because I really wasn't good at it. But now, do I also consider that failure? I don't consider that failure. I've grown past the stage where I don't see failures for failures, you understand, right? I see failures as I embrace failures. I like failures because I always tell myself, like, what give you the guts to think you should pass this the first time you're doing it? You understand, right? You have never done this before. Like the effrontery for you to think that if I do this once, I should feel like I should get it. Are you nuts? Like, you understand, right?
Right.
So like, those are all ways that I used to. I don't know if this makes sense, but like when I'm in that situation where I want to start an idea and I'm having that doubt, I like to clear it out first. You understand, right? Like to clear it out first, and then I have this. Now, what's stopping me? What's my biggest fear? You understand, right? My biggest fear is dying. So I accepted, like, okay, if it boils down to the point of me dying, I can do it. Now I'm at that point where I am like I feel like there's no limit now, because if I accept the worst case that can happen, which is dying, you get right. Now, in most cases, I never die, so I'm still here. you get it, right?
Right.
So like, that's kind of like the mindset I have towards doubt.
I love that. I wholeheartedly agree. Like, failure, I try not to see it as failure, because you're still trying, and if anything, it's like if you miss, what is it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. By I think Wayne Gretzky said that. I can't remember, but I know that quote. Yeah, and it's true, because if you're not trying, you're not trying. But there's always there's some trajectory of progress. Like, some of the sports like rock climbing, for example. There's always this practice of letting go the fear of falling. It's very hard to do. Like, you are way up high up there. But if you can get closer to being comfortable with that feeling of falling or failure, you're going to climb better and harder than you've ever done, because now you're letting go of this layer of the self-doubt, and you can put your all into the next move. And it's something climbers try to practice, but it's such a beautiful thing, because you're right, you feel limitless once
you take that fear out of it. That fear is gone,
But also, it's true, there's always room for progress, and you learn from your quote unquote failure. There's always a learning opportunity there, so it's kind of a win, because it changes your mindset or what you need to tweak and adjust to move to the next step. And a lot of people successful in their career, late in their careir, will tell you I fucked up many times. Look at all the CEOs and founders of their company. They had failed businesses. They've it's a bumpy ride, and it doesn't just come just like that unless you're extremely lucky. But even then, it's
lucky is not even lucky. No. Even lucky is not lucky. I don't know anyone that can be. My name is Lucky. I don't know anyone that can be extremely luckier than me. By name, I was called Lucky, but even that time, I still don't feel lucky. I still feel like
you're not lucky. You're blessed.
I'm blessed. I know, right? Okay. You spoke about mentorship. I was going to end this, but that's
yeah.
something you spoke about that I really want to, talk about. Do you have a mentor, and how did you think that not having or having a mentor has affected you, and, what have you learned from it, honestly? Because I want to have a mentor. I don't have a mentor, and I've been thinking about it lately too. It's like, the idea has been coming to my head that, look, you need a mentor, someone that can guide you through life, because honestly, I have no clue what I'm doing. You guys, right? You get, right? Never done this before. None of my family members have done this before. So it's like everything I do is out of me, what I've learned and something. So it'd be nice to have.
Same. Yeah. I guess there's different forms of mentors. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the exact career that you're going at, but someone that is a good sounding board to provide some, I guess, maybe non-biased, like, advice. It's just good to bounce off ideas, someone that you trust. But even, like, I've been considering, like, looking into maybe a career coach or some sort of coach that in the niche that I'm going through. And I think it's important just because they have some insight that you might be missing, and not necessarily telling you exactly what to do, but just, I think some guidance like that in general is important. And I know there's benefits to that. I've seen it with, like, other people that have had, like, some sort of mentorship like early on. But I will say, like, my brother, my mom, they've been great mentors, as like emotional support and just support in general. I've really appreciated that. So, like, family, I think, is a form of mentorship for sure as well.
Yeah, it's the easiest one you can get.
Yeah.
Guess what you can get now.
Yeah.
Well, if you want more, I feel like if you want more in life, you have to go beyond family mentorship. You have to start investing.
Yes.
Something external.
Yes, definitely. Yep. Invest in yourself.
Yeah, I struggle with it. It's like I have done so many things myself in life that now it's like, and I know I should, but I still struggle with. What
are your goals? Like, what do you? I'm sorry. Now I'm, like, turning the tables over.
No. Like, in what areas?
So you do, like, personal training.
Yeah.
What are your goals with that, or, like, what type of mentorship you're looking for per se, or is it for, like, the podcast, or a little bit of everything?
Yeah, I think let's go with the personal training.
Yeah.
I someday, like, for me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm still getting started. You understand, right? My long-term goal is to have a gym. You get, right? I want to make fitness very, very convenient and efficient for people. Like, how we were talking about, there's a Dunkin' Donuts on every. That's what I want fitness to be. You get, right? I want to put fitness on every, if possible, as accessible to you as possible. Like, literally, you just wake up and there's a gym. I don't know how, you just wake up and there's a way to work out somewhere. You don't have to think about, I have to drive to the gym. I have to, I want to make it.
It's there, yeah.
It's there. That's my long-term, goal for fitness. But, like, right now, like, I'm working towards having my own studio, so I'm in that place where I'm asking myself, is this too soon, or do I still need to stay a little longer? You get, right? So still where I'm working with, do I have to still stay there? Because I don't know, but having someone that has been through that process or knows can say, hey man, I think you're ready to do this, take this step. Or, to tell me, now wait a little bit, don't rush,
Yeah.
And then with the podcast, I'm happy with the podcast. We have 108 episodes, but, like, I still want to take it to a higher level. You get, right? I want to
maybe a studio for that, right?
For that, I want to have a setup where, like, we could have 4 guys in here all talking about.
So you don't have to keep checking and definitely, like, a whole team.
Yeah, like, I love a whole team. Guy behind the camera, like, and also conversation wise too. I want to bring in 4 different ideas, so not just myself and you, but, like, 3 other people, and we're just, like, all passionate and talking about our story, what we've learned from being in control of our own life. You understand me, right? Like,
yeah.
put those messages out there. That's my plan. Like, next year, I want to work towards having at least like a 4 people set up podcast, and with like maybe 2 cameras, and that can at least not just one camera getting the wide angle of everything, but like 2 cameras that can go from this person to this person.
Yep.
Like that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's
beautiful.
That's my goal for the podcast.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, what do you recommend? What do you think?
You know, like, I would say what I've realized, sometimes you just have to start something, go for it, and not wait too long. Because you have to, sometimes we just, I don't know, for myself, like, I'm a perfectionist, and I'm going to be like, no, it's not ready yet. Like, don't put it out just yet because of this, and that. But sometimes to get the ball rolling, just start it. So, like, if you feel like you have an opportunity to get a studio going,
get it right.
Get started, because maybe it will either not happen, but you know, you might can wait too long. But I love the idea of having a team. It makes it easier because you can focus on just the subject and the people you're talking to, and leave the production to the crew. And it makes it more engaging when it's like different
opinions,
camera changes, and the discussion as well. After this, I do want to put you in touch with someone, so I'll mention.
Okay. I like that. I like that. And like you talked about something you said, I'm not a perfectionist. You get right.
Okay.
I don't care how I start.
That makes it easier.
you would not believe me. I literally, because I've realized it's self-awareness. I've realized that I would never have everything I need to get started. You get right? Like, and I don't complain about it. I love it. You get right? So I've come to that point where it's like, if it happens perfect for me, I'm running away from it. You get right? So the first time I tried it and it's perfect, I'm like, fuck no, this is not gonna, like that's the level of awareness that I have. I love it when it doesn't start the way like perfect. I love it. Look at it's an iPhone I'm using to make a video.
Yeah.
I even have a camera.
I love that.
I even have a camera, but I don't even. The iPhone is so easy.
It's easy.
Convenient.
Get it started.
I don't want to say because I don't have this. Everything we have here came with time.
Yeah.
You get right. That's what I've learned. Like literally, the most important thing is just get started. It doesn't matter where you are. Just
exactly.
Start.
I love that. Plus, like, the types of tools you use and the gear does go like a long way, but it's how you use the tools and the creativity. Like when I was starting, I don't know, I was just like, you just make do with what you have. Like a lot of creative stuff comes out of like people just using the simplest setup. It's so amazing,
for real.
And it also like it does inspire, like, think outside the box more, and like I don't know, there's something to it, but not to knock down. It's just like using all the expensive gear and the shiny toys doesn't make you like a great filmmaker, photographer, like whatever, producer.
It's a plus, but
it's a plus.
You should be able to like still knock something out with
the
minimal stuff,
and it forces you to really hone in and refine your skills from you directly before even relying on gear. So I love that. Plus, like, you're comfortable in the rawness of it sounds like. So I think you'll go far with it. Like, continue, don't let it go.
I'm so comfortable
in the
rawness of it. I think I'm getting too comfortable. I need to switch things up. I think maybe next year I should start going for perfection, I guess. But right now I'm just so comfortable in the rawness of it. Like, okay, we'll just go with it. Let's, see
where it goes.
Let's.
And you do editing as well? Do you dabble in video editing?
So I do the minimal stuff I can.
Okay.
Like once I'm done here, I have the audio is here. I would play with it on my laptop and then upload it on Anchor that like shares it all over. And then I have the video on my iPhone. I tried transferring to my laptop, but it takes a lot of work, so I just do it on my phone there.
Directly off the phone.
InShot, amazing app that it just,
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar
I just
with InShot.
take the audio from
it's
here,
great.
put it on the video,
Nice.
email it to myself, and there's a way you can link the audio to the video, and then I just try to make it match and just play around with it, cut, save, and then upload on YouTube. Boom, makes my life so easy.
Yeah.
Because if it's not easy, I don't think I'll be able to do it with my schedule and work. So anything that just makes this easy for me, I want to do it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazing. But
That's
no
great.
complaint. Yeah. Okay. So last question.
Okay.
Let me see. How can people reach out to you? How
Sure.
can people be part of your life, your business? Support you, because guys, like, we've heard the story of Ali. Amazing. Like, she's just this self-made. There's a funny there's a quote like that says, everyone is self-made, but only the successful will agree. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wherever you are, you some way played a role in it, and that's where you are right now. You brought yourself from completely, I can do it, even if you couldn't. Like the first time you hold the saxophone and you couldn't even play it, and they asked you if you can, and you said you can, and just that opens so many doors for you that literally we're here because of that choice you know you made. You betted on yourself, and that has led you so far. And if we can any way, shape or form, I know you have a YouTube, I know you have an Instagram, how can we support you?
Sure. Where can you find me? My website is aliphotog.com. So aliphotog.com. And then for Instagram, Baba Blue 1, there you'll just see like a mixture of everything that I put my hands on for projects. And then on YouTube, I really enjoy YouTube because you can put out more like fleshed out videos. Instagram is a shorter platform. That's like short, small bites. So for longer stuff, you can find it on I guess my YouTube is my full name, so Alexandria Pierre-Etienne, and I don't know, you'll probably just have this written on the title because it's a long French name. I won't bother spelling it out. But so I guess those three would be like good spots to just be updated on what I'm working on. I'll be putting some stuff out there.
Or something?
Oh yeah, that's probably important. So it's photoalligraphy at gmail.com.
Gotcha.
And it's PHOTOALIGRAPHY at gmail.com.
Boom. Easy guys. So go show some love.
Appreciate it.
Be part of support small businesses. Honestly, we need that support. Guys. Don't go give contract to all these big joints and leave the up and coming out of the picture. Understand me, right? Go show Ali some love, support her. Let me see, Ali, is there any question you would think I would ask that I didn't ask you today? Is there anything that you're expecting me to?
You've asked some great questions. Yeah, I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me on.
My pleasure. I feel
I'm glad we got a chance to do it finally,
for
too.
real,
right?
For real. It's been a long time coming in.
Yeah.
The moment you said yes, I was like, finally, I want something.
No, it's great. And we definitely got to do some training.
I'm down.
Again, we can do some like killer videos again.
I'm done. Whenever you're ready.
Yes.
You're the one with the killer
And the weather's
schedule.
getting
nice. Yeah.
Yep.
So 100%,
okay.
100% down.
Dope.
You got me. Whenever your schedule lets you, just let me know. And
okay.
I'm
we'll definitely connect. Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you for having me on again.
Yes. So with that said, guys, thank you so much for listening to today's episode. It was an amazing one. I honestly learned something from Ali that I had no clue. But not just me. I hope you guys learned something too, that there's no excuses. And that's what this podcast is all about. Like, trying to make you guys believe that literally you can teach yourself anything. I mean, not really anything, but, you can teach yourself a lot of things, And it's better that you try and fail than literally not try at all and imagine what would have happened if you didn't try. Ali did a lot of things that, like she said, she wished she had a coach or someone that would teach her that. But because you don't have it doesn't mean you're not going to live life or do these things. You understand me, right? We live in a world where we have YouTube now. You can watch anything. You can literally have mentors from books. mentors online, apps. They're all over, you know. So don't let your situation or your environment or wherever you are right now be the reason why you cannot be that great person that you were destined to be. So that's a wrap for today. Once again, Ali, I appreciate you for coming on the podcast.
Likewise, thank you so much. Appreciate this conversation.
Peace.